Now, I request Professor Sanjeev Parashar to welcome Swami Vyomapada with floral greetings. Now, I request Swamiji to address the gathering.
Thank you very much for extending a very warm welcome to me. I am touched, I am grateful for this opportunity given to me to speak to very esteemed students. I tried to get into IIM, I failed miserably. Like anyone in India, it's a dream to be part of the IIM group, and unfortunately I was not qualified. So you are the chosen ones. You have a dream, and the Lord has blessed you to make that dream happen. And it's a great opportunity. It's a very nice name tag to have under your card. Chappa is there, it's very nice. You will get respect, you will get credibility, and you will become an important, you will achieve some level of importance in whatever field you choose to pursue your life in. And my thanks to Sanjeev ji and to your senior colleagues or senior classmates who feel that I can contribute something by my thoughts, realizations, and they extended me an invitation to speak to the new group of students. At least I didn't get through IIM, but at least I have an opportunity to speak to IIM students. At least by default, I have somewhere to address all of you. I had a very short association in the corporate world, not many years. After I did my graduation, like any other normal Indian, I am from a very, maybe a middle class or above middle class family, where the goal was you have to get educated, you have to get into a good institute, you have to have a good degree, then only you will get some money to take care of yourself, some status in society, to be recognized. Only then you will get a good wife. Only then people will feel that you are somebody important. So I am born with that kind of a family, and that was my pursuit. But somehow there was a twist in my tale. In the company that I used to work, there was a colleague of mine who took me to the ISKCON temple in Bangalore. I don't know how many of you have visited ISKCON temple. Quite a few. So I belong to Bangalore. I have been born and brought up in Bangalore. So I went there, and then at that time we didn't have this big temple in Bangalore. It was a very small shed, and I met some few monks there. Some of the monks were from IIT Kanpur, and things like that. So I was very impressed. How did these very well educated boys become monks? What turned their life to take up this kind of a goal? So then I was interested. I was curious. So I started listening to them, how they were inspired to take up this life. And they were working in years and wanted to do this work. And at one point of time, I lost really interest in the mainstream industry as such. And I communicated my desire to my parents. I was the only son, so there was a lot of opposition. Parents have their own goals, what their son should be, how it should grow, what he should do. So there was initially some opposition to my goal. But my parents were very gentlemanly. They understood my desire and likingly or unlikingly they accepted my proposal. And I joined as a full-time missionary in the year 1997 in Bangalore. The kind of goal that I pursue is very, very different from what a normal mainstream person will want to pursue. So initially there was some difficulty in communicating my goals to somebody who is not very conversant with why this person has taken up this goal. So today I have been asked to speak on the topic of ethics, morality and subject matters like this. Frankly speaking, I don't feel qualified. I don't feel I myself am very ethical, full of morality and things like that. I still break rules. I still find shortcuts in my life if it is easy. If nobody sees, yes, I will also take the shortcut. But yet, I feel I should speak on this topic of ethics. I was discussing when we were waiting for you to assemble here with Sanjay ji and some of the students also about what constitutes ethics. Can anybody tell me what is ethics from your dimension? If somebody wants to just, let it be interactive. It's not like a Baba has come and giving us satsang. Yeah. Yeah, please.
Thinking about ethics is like every person has its own principle, and then we build those principles and walk along with that. Those forms ethics as an individual, and with respect to organization, the principles what are built are also coming under ethics with that particular organization. So that is the definition.
Okay, you are saying every individual has his own set of ethics.
It varies because everyone has its own perspective, and when it comes to an organization, we need to have a common thinking and we need to be on the same page to work together. So that time we put it on paper to have a common ethic, but at the bottom of the ground, everyone has their own ethic and principles.
I have a group of robbers, I am a group of dacoits, and my group of dacoits have created an ethical structure. How my dacoity should be very ethical. So will it become ethical if I set my own ethical standards?
It should be accepted by the society.
Achha, under my dacoity society it is accepted.
At a higher level, if someone is creating some ethic, then it is definitely.
So the Bada Gunda will set the ethics for the dacoity group.
People thinking there are someone who have already worked on some principles. So if someone experiences creating those ethics, then definitely it has some values, and we need to respect those
So ethics is a very evolving thing.
Yes, sir.
Okay. We'll discuss more on whether ethics should be a very evolving thing or there are some other way to look at ethics. Any other answer? Yeah, somebody there. Somebody there.
Namaste sir, my name is Prasha Mishra. I'm from PGP first year. I believe that ethics are, in definition form, are rules which should be followed, say, in a society, in an organization, for the good of the society, so that it could grow, it could develop, and everyone would be happy about it.
So ethics is for the good of everyone. But how do you define good? My dacoit society says looting people is good.
For them, looting might be good, but for the person who
Poor.
they are looting.
So if 90% of the population are dacoits, then what will the poll lead?
It should be good for everyone.
Huh?
It should be good for each and every person.
No, my point is that what is good? What is really good? Good is, how do you define good? My dacoit society says killing people is good, robbing people is good.
But the other 10% wants it that it is good.
Huh?
The other 10% wants it that is good for them.
Okay, the 10 but they have lost. You said we have to go for a poll. If you go for a poll, 90% is saying killing people is good.
I'm not going to approve. I'm saying that it should be 100%.
So in society we can never get 100%.
So
What is the
that
practical
means
approach?
that-
How will you get?
But that is not in an ethical society. Ethics is something that each and every person should be happy, satisfied with their life.
No, that's exactly what I'm asking. How do you say people will be satisfied, happy? What makes people satisfied? Because it's all relative. What you're saying, what is satisfied for you is unhappy for me. Okay, we'll discuss. Let's get some more opinion. Yeah. Yeah.
You said that ethics has evolved. Ethics, in fact, has
No, I didn't say he said ethics is evolving.
I'm agreeing to that ethics has evolved and it will keep on evolving.
Yeah.
Like if we start talking about
So one second, if ethics is evolving, that means currently the ethics is not correct.
I'm not saying
It has evolved, no?
yeah,
It has become better. That means right before it was not better.
It has not become better or not bad. It's like it keeps on evolving. For example, if you look at the start of the civilization, when people were mostly hunters, then the only ethics was driven by how to survive and how to keep the community surviving. In your case, if there are dacoits, yeah, you are part of a dacoit, but if you look at the present situation, that dacoit community is a part of a larger community. So that community still opens a lot of options for those dacoits to go out and find out better options to live in the society. So that makes them unhappy. And there will be no other society to interact with or no option to other than killing people, then you would have been. So it has evolved. It's, like when civilization started, when there were hunters, it was really ethical to kill animals. But nowadays it is not. So it will evolve and it will keep on evolving depending on the situation of the world.
I'll come to that later also. Anybody else has another opinion? Okay. This is the last opinion. Afterwards, we have to come.
Good evening, sir. My name is Chandresh from PGP first year. According to me, ethical will be a set of rules which are morally correct. So, according to me,
That's exactly what I'm asking. How do you define morally correct?
morally correct, like, yeah, it is defined by the society. It's
Just we have to go by society,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That's your understanding. Okay. Now, okay, last.
I'm first year thinking. So ethics are those at which decisions are taken. Your conscience, you are at peace with your conscience. Or say in an organization, you are at peace with your values. So say in terms of, so we talk about dacoits. I'll take another example. So say a simple kid, a child who steals eraser from class, he takes the right decision, but so he hides it. So every human being itself has an intrinsic conscience within him, which tells him it's wrong. So it's a decision which may be taken, but his conscience will get peace with it. So ethics is very a conscience that speaks to the decision.
Interesting. Now, there's something that there's a distinction that I want to bring about here. There's something called, we call it relative ethics and absolute ethics. Has anybody got any idea of what is relative ethics and absolute ethics? Yeah.
So this is Sairam. Good afternoon, sir. This is Sairam from PDP first year.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Whatever you said is correct. That there are two kinds of ethics: relative ethics and absolute ethics. Ethics, I perceive from my side, it's like this. They're defining some set of rules. It's like constitution of what to do and what not to do. For example, let us consider the case of Ratan Tata, who has chosen Ratan Tata, ex-Tata Group, Ratan Tata, who had chosen not to drive when he was asked to do, when he decided to terminate the aviation industry. That was his own ethics, because he has decided not to drive and enter into the industry. But for some other leaders, it's like they have to think about the organization, they have to think about the growth of the organization. Some other leaders they will go for it, right? And then think of their organization in the future. So it's a relative phenomenon. The way you define it, the way you call it, the way you perceive it, differs from individual to individual. So there is a difference between.
Okay, I'll give me a scenario. I'll give you a scenario. Supposing my mother is dying. She has met with a heart attack suddenly, and I've taken her to a hospital. And in the hospital there is a compounder who says, "Sir, if you have to give me 50 rupees bribe, then only I'll take her inside, or I'll speeden up your admission process." What will you do? And you are a very ethical person. Will you allow your mother to die, or will you pay the 50 rupees?
In my view, I think I have to do well and then go ahead to save.
You will pay the price. Why will you pay the price?
Because for me, my priority is to save my mother rather than.
So relative ethics takes a back. See, 90% of the people will do the same thing, right? Right? Maybe there is some extreme, real ethical terrorist who will not allow my mother to die, but I will stick to my principle. Right? But I think that's few and far between, right? But in real world scenario, you would tell, please take this, please take her back to your oxygen, do whatever he has to be admitted, right? So let's try to understand things from this dimension. What is relative ethics and what is absolute ethics? That means you have a higher goal. There is something very significant, very higher goal, which is to protect the life of a soul, the life of a person, right? And the relative goal is what? That you have to keep the principle that I shall not pay bribe. Now this I shall not pay bribe principle is very, very small compared to the principle of saving a person's life. So, in our day-to-day interactions, in our day-to-day scenario with the world, we are constantly faced with situations like this, where we have to take a call, where we need to take a call, where we have set a certain rules that this is what I should be doing. Right? Somebody suggested a set of principles, we have created certain norms based on which we will abide by those particular norms. And one of the norms is that I should not use corruption, I should not either pay a bribe or take a bribe. Okay? But when the situation warrants that I, like the example that I gave, then sometimes we have to break our own norms which we have set for a higher purpose. One is that. Second is the limitation of relative norms. Like all of you spoke, what kind of ethics are you actually speaking about? Whether it falls in the domain of relative ethics or absolute ethics. It's all relative ethics. It's all relative. Right? That's why we are saying relative ethics will evolve. And then, so one of the aspects, limitation of relative ethics, that is, it doesn't have a very permanent base to that. Right? So how do you look at absolute ethics? How do you say, like for example, one is relative ethics, that is there. It's very easy to create relative ethics. But how do you talk about absolute? From where will you find absolute ethics? What should be the source of absolute ethics? Can I do that? Yeah.
Actually, the absolute ethics are there in our Bhagavad Gita.
Jana Bhagavad Gita. Okay. Only Bible, Bhagavad Gita, and Quran are the repositories of all absolute ethics. Huh?
Respective sources of
There is?
the respective sources of everything.
Okay. So only the religious people, they are the repositories of all ethics, is it? No, I am saying why should they only be the persons who are custodians of all ethics? Somebody who is an atheist, you will be very offended. These people have totally monopolized absolute ethics.
From that, that is the basic source. From that, many values and ethics have evolved.
It's a point. Like for example, from time immemorial, religious scriptures have defined ethical characters of society. Like for example, if you take our constitution, our constitution's many features are actually from the scriptures. Many aspects of our Indian constitution are actually derived from many Vedic literatures. And any good thoughts that come from various other sources also. Now the paradigm of ethics in India, we say, please. The paradigm of ethics, how it is defined, is like all of us should abide by the state law. The state law is the supreme authority which can define ethics. And how is the state law defined? How is the state law? How are laws made in India? Who makes the laws? Huh? The legislators. So then, if you have legislators who are totally unethical, how will you have laws which are ethical? And whether if the legislators are unethical themselves, will they pursue and provide us the implementation of these laws, which is exactly what we are seeing. We have laws, we have a great guidelines of ethics, which is shown as the state law, but whether it is practically implemented. Why it is not implemented? Because we have people at the helm of affairs who do not wish to implement the laws, right? For so many reasons. If you ask them, from their own understanding, they are quite justified according to their reasons and how things are not being. So one of the most basic aspect is, we say there is a proverb, Yata praja tata Yata raja tata praja. The citizens are as good as the king. So similarly, if you want a very ethical structure to be defined, then you need to have proper leaders in society. And the state laws which we have created for ourselves, which is again, in a sense, very relative, because it can be evolved. into a better law, into something better as soon as possible. Now, like she was saying, there are books, there are scriptures like Bhagavad Gita, Bible, Quran, Guru Nanak's teachings, and so many scriptural faiths from various religions and schemes of things that we can learn about ethics. Now, one of the things that we can learn from these things, from these scriptures that inspired me to take up this path is the absolute nature of certain instructions. Like for instance, the instruction, this particular instruction, where I gave you the example of Yata Raja Tata Praja. Ultimately, it is the leader, how good the leader is, based on that the rest of the society will follow. Now in the Bhagavad Gita also there is an instruction where it says, Yad yad acharati shreshtas tatat eve tarojana. That means, whatever Shrestha means important people in society perform, the rest of the society will naturally follow. So, as people who you are going to become leaders in society, you have to lead, you have to show the path for the rest of the society, because the rest of the society will follow. Oh, this guy is from IIM, this guy is from so-and-so institute, he has studied this, he has studied that. So you have to become the guiding force for society to follow, and they naturally align their thoughts to the way you lead your lives. So for that to happen, you must develop absolute perspectives in life. If you develop only relative perspectives, you will be shackled by its limited value. Like I said, you will become a very evolving. There is no, like for example, even when we set a goal, we must set a very, very big goal. We must not look for a very short-sighted goal. We must always think very big. Similarly, in our lives also, in our personal lives, in our ethical lives, in our personal standards, we say we must set very, very, our benchmark should be extremely high. And for that to happen, some scriptures give us insights how to set very high benchmarks. Very high benchmarks. Just like, for example, Jesus Christ. Now, the principle of compassion and mercy, if you take, Jesus Christ sets the perfect example of that. Although he was being put in a cross, what is he saying? Forgive them for they know not what they do. That's compassion. That's real knowledge. No, the principle of compassion, it doesn't need to be, I am a Hindu, I will not take the principle. It doesn't matter from where it comes. But that's a wonderful example. When he's showing that there is tremendous amount of compassion. Why can't we learn from that? Is it fanaticism to learn from somebody like that? It's a great thing. It's a great opportunity for us to learn the principle of compassion. So when we refer to the teaching of the Bible there, which says, when Jesus Christ said, forgive them for they know not what they are doing, even at the height of pain, at the height of misery, is a value that we can imbibe in us. Why not take it from them? It's a great thing. Just like, I don't remember who said this. Somebody who says, open your eyes and ears and all the good things allow you to flow. Right? Anybody know who told this? I don't know. So it's something like that. So when we just open our eyes and listen to that instruction, it's now relative sense of compassion is what? Relative sense of compassion is doing good for somebody, doing like this, doing that. But if you take it to a higher level, there is a compassion that can be extended to this level, that even at the point of death, Jesus Christ is saying, Forgive them for they know not what they do. It's a wonderful instruction. It's a wonderful learning that we can get. Similarly, in Bhagavad Gita, if you see, when Arjuna, the context of the Bhagavad Gita is that Arjuna decided not to fight the battle, saying that I cannot fight this battle because the sons of Kuru and my Guru are all involved and they are part of our family, and how can I kill these people? And at the end of it, even if I get this, basically Bhagavad Gita is the fight of the Kurus and the Pandavas is basically a property dispute, right? There is a property dispute, and the property dispute has to be settled through war. War means killing each other and then deciding who will get ownership of that property, right? So he said, what is the use of this property? Like for example, I am fighting with my mother, father, brother, sister, and whom will I share it with? You know, after all, human beings are social beings. We need company. You know, that's where greatest joy comes. I don't have anybody to share my wealth with. All have been killed, murdered. So whom will I share with? It's meaningless to enjoy this wealth, right? So that was the argument which Arjuna was giving to Krishna, and Krishna was inciting Arjuna to fight. But subsequently, when Krishna started speaking higher instructions, now this is the relative truth. What is the relative truth? The relative truth is, they are my brothers, they are my sisters, they are my relatives, they are my sambandhis. I cannot fight with them. The relative truth is that if I fight with them, if I kill with them, then whom will I share with? Ultimately, I will live in misery. But then Krishna brings about an absolute concept. What is that absolute concept? All of you are conversant with the story, the background. What is the absolute concept? Huh? Okay. Any other? Yeah.
As far as the Bhagavad Gita is concerned,
I'm asking the specific question.
Krishna probably gave a lesson that Atma cannot be killed. So the question of killing people does not arise.
Yeah. See, my one question has got two, like either these two responses, there are two absolute ideas that are coming up. One is the idea what he says that he's saying they're all part of me. So why do you bother? He's saying Krishna brings about the principle of Atma and things like that. Please. There are many, many absolute principles. With Krishna, if you analyze the Bhagavad Gita, there are many, many principles that the Bhagavad Gita brings about in trying to explain why this war has to be fought. One of the major principle is that there is a higher principle called Dharma. And for maintaining that Dharma, these people are on the wrong side, and because they are on the wrong side, they have to be killed. Right? That's another absolute principle. So like this, if you clearly analyze, now these principles are not relevant, or it doesn't mean that only Hindus will get the benefit of these principles. Because life is the same for a Hindu, for a Muslim, for a Christian, or from any caste, creed, background. These are situations which we all ponder upon. Right? So when we open our eyes and ears to situations like this, and when scriptures are giving us directions like this, then we can learn how absolute ethics, absolute realities help us in our life in similar situations. So similarly, I as a person am conversant with the Bhagavad Gita or the Bhagavatam to some extent, and to some little extent, little Bible, little Granth Sahib or something like that. I have learned on my own and learned. But there may be many other volumes of books where we, without being fanatic, let's try to imbibe the principle Fanaticism is foolishness. Fanaticism doesn't make sense. That is like, without philosophy. Fanaticism happens when you don't have a philosophy. To learn philosophy, you have to work hard. To become fanatic is very easy. To keep on playing, you have to understand the Bhagavad Gita, you have to understand the Bible, you have to understand the Granth Sahib, you have to do all these things. It involves struggle. It involves hard work. To become a fanatic and take telling Zindabad, Hindu, Zindabad, Muslim, Zindabad, Christian is very easy. So what do people do? They take the easier route. And in the old name, what gets a bad name? Old society. Religion itself becomes a very bad topic to be discussed. Because there is no philosophy. There is no deeper understanding. The principles are forgotten and it is just the things, the superficial similarity of people that matters. The same kind of clothes, the same kind of beard, the same kind of topi. We are all one community. What is there? Whether he is really following the principle, his understanding of principle, he becomes secondary. So when those become secondary, then the essence of what that absolute knowledge is lost. So my appeal is that we can learn many absolute principles from the scriptures. It gives us great insight. It gives us great direction in our lives. Like he said, somebody was saying, he was saying, we are not the body, we are Atma. I have a small video clip. Now this video clip is a sample survey asked to ordinary people. They are asking one particular question and afterwards I will ask you what to do. Okay?
If you could have anything in the world, if you could have any one thing in the world, what would you like to have?
I'd want to be able to fly.
All the Pokemon cards.
I'd like an airplane.
A carousel.
A horse.
Nachos. I could go for nachos right now.
I want to be a football player.
I would like to have one of these cameras.
I could go for a beer real bad.
An Uzi submachine pistol.
7 wishes.
Lots of money, I guess. Money.
So an ordinary group of people was asked a question. If you have a wish, what is the one thing that you will want? And you saw people's response. Some people said they want a beer, some people said they want a gun, some people said they want a horse, and many people said money. So what do you understand from this story? What is the purpose of my showing you this? Yeah. Very analytical, but too analytical. My, yeah.
So this video actually shows you the conservative attitude that people have at this moment. Given the opportunity to do anything, that actually signifies infinity. Whatever you can do to take your time and relationships that are damaged or anything you can have lost in the past. But still you will go behind.
Right. It's showing a consumerist mindset of people. Okay.
Shows that every person is somehow materialistic and they go on to satisfy their sexual needs.
Okay.
Either that is why they want money or they directly want some, the examples that.
Now the same group of people, say after 10 days, if I ask the same question, what will the people's response be? It will be different. Why it will be different? Yeah.
Because their needs can never be fulfilled.
Okay. And the
Sir, their priority changes.
okay.
When you don't know actually what you want.
Very Please give him a hand. They have no idea what they are really different from them. We are also very similar. If we know what we won't change. If we really know what we want, we will not change until and unless we have achieved that. Listen. Which means to show what? We are running behind many things without knowing what we really want. Now, whom do we call rational? Whom do we call rational? What is the meaning of rationality? Yeah.
Somebody who thinks in a logical way is called rational.
Yeah, very logical and very purposeful. So which means to say, when we keep on changing our goals, we have not defined our purpose. It's not a very well-defined purpose. So which means to say, there is something irrational about our goals. We have really, like I said, when you set a goal, it should be really a big thing. Many times, or 99.99%, we are not at all really purposeful. Our goals are all extremely limited. We have no idea what we want in life. We just, at this moment of time, I want this, I'll run behind this. Just like, I take this kind of sessions in various places. And sometimes in our sessions there will be young couples. And young couples means they will have some small baby also, some small child, which they cannot leave outside, so they bring them to the classes. And, a session like this for a baby, for 4 years old, 5-year-old child, it's very difficult to sit through this kind of a class. And what will the child be doing? He'll be pulling his mama's saree, bag, something he'll be doing, and mama will be doing, everything he'll be doing. So usually when I play this slide, I ask this child if there is any child in the class. And like this, I remember in one class, I asked one child, tell me, I'll give you a wish which you want. I'll grant you a boon, whatever you want. You ask for it. What do you want? So the child immediately became very attentive. Because whatever he wishes I am willing to give. So the child immediately became attentive. Another child said, sir, I want a remote control bike. So everybody in the class started laughing. Now, for that child, that remote controlled bike holds so much significance. Right? In his life, that remote controlled bike is holding so much significance in his life. Why? Now for us, if you look at, for us it is a very silly thing. It doesn't make any much sense. But if you look at our life also, like for example, in my life, when I was young in school, for me, or when will Diwali come? That was my whole thinking. The rest of the year I used to keep thinking, when will Diwali come? Why? Pataka. I can burst crackers. That was most happiest moment for me when I will get pataka. Today, I cannot. If somebody bursts a cracker, oh my God, what sound? It is torture. So you see, the relevance of the desire has today turned out to be meaningless or of no significance at all. Right? No another way of looking the same kind of thing. Now, like you have Nautya. Yeah. What Nautya you are? Devashi. What is your purpose of joining IIM? And when you get employed, what happens? You get money, you get nice wife. Yeah. What is nice? And a nice house. And what happens after that? Huh? No, I am not. No, but I am saying, you will get a job, you will get nice family, and you will be self-employed, you will be a good businessman. So what is the purpose of that? What is that you want to get from that? By doing that, what will happen? Pleasure. Yeah, unbelievable. Interesting word you use, pleasure. Right? So, with pleasure, what happens? What is that you are looking for? One common factor all of us are seeking in life is what? Happiness. There is one common line. Doesn't matter Christian, Hindu, Muslim, whatever. We are all looking for happiness. Now we equate happiness equal to what? Like these people. Happiness is equal to money. Happiness is equal to gun. Happiness is equal to horse. Happiness is equal to nice, beautiful wife. Happiness is equal to rich husband. We all have our equations. One common thing is we want happiness. Happiness we want. But whether it really gives us happiness, that is the question. Just like for example, today if I give you a remote control bike, will it make you happy? But when you were 5-year-old, 10-year-old, if I would have given you, yes, it would have made me so happy. But right now, it has no relevance. Again, what is our goal that we are achieving? We are looking for happiness. But again, it's all related. There is no absolute sense of happiness. We are only looking for related happiness. So what has happened? The laws of nature are so designed. It's like, when you go into a gambling machine, what does it do? The gambler, if you go to a poker machine or a gambling, the video game kind of a thing, you put 1 rupee coin and you play, and you get 5 coins back. So the person who has designed that machine, is it designed to give you money or for him to make money? For him to make money. So what does he do? You put 1 coin, you will get 2 coins. And then you will lose 1 coin. Then you will lose 3 coins. And then you will get 4 coins. So what is it? He is playing a game. He is playing a game of what? He will give you some benefit. Then he will take away. Then he will give you. And at the end of the day, you will see what? Oh, I got $20. But in the end, I have only $15. So there is a deficit of. In our search for related happiness, this is what happens. Oh, I got into IIM. I got a good job. I got a good wife. But then so many other things I lost. So many other things I lost. So many other things I gained. So there is a constant puzzle. I get something, I don't get something. I get something, I lost something. I get something, I lost. Of course, again and again we are working only on the relative platform. That is, there is no absolute sense of goal. Again, here also, our religious scriptures give us insight into real happiness. Just like, for example, even a person, if I give this example because it's very easily perceivable. Happiness also has different dimensions for different people. Now, if you see, just like we were coming back, I was coming back from Vilay, and then we were just close to this place, we are here about half a kilometer from here. I saw one man lying on the roadside. No, he was fully lying, asleep on the roadside, he was sleeping, fully drunk, and he was on the floor. Now I was just observing that guy. I was just seeing his face. His face, the most blissful place I am sleeping in. In his mind, what is there? This is the most happiest situation in my life. Where? On the footpath, on the floor, under the sun, under the rain, no problem. All the people are seeing me, doesn't matter. This is the most happiest existence. I am most blissful. You must have all seen, right? So do we call that happiness? Or we call it most foolish? Right? happiness. For him, it's happiness. But for us, it is an extremely miserable state of existence. Right? Another example you can see the pigs sometimes in the slush. Right? Mama pig, papa pig, beta pig, all in one family there inside the slush. And you see their faces, oh, so nice place. I'm living in a wonderful, what is that? Mud pack. Right? So you see, again, the dimension of happiness is very miserable. Right? So, what we need to really think when we say, my stress would be that we need to look at the absolute sense of happiness, and is there a sense of absolute happiness that we can see, that we can look for? When you start looking at that dimension, then you will see the entire world, our entire activities from a very, very larger, broader perspective. Otherwise, we become very, very limited. We become robotic in our life. As educated, intelligent people, we must not allow our very, very broad and very important human life to lose perspective in pursuit of something very related. We must also have an absolute dimension in life which will naturally make us ethical, which will naturally make us value ethics. Otherwise, we will all be in a mad rat race which will ultimately make us very unhappy people in life. We will be successful, but we will be very unhappy. What is the purpose of success without happiness? It doesn't make any meaning. So, I do not have much time to carry on. Already the signal has come. So I have to stop here at this point of time with my small words. Please refer. There are great. It is not something meaningless. It is not something like a blind faith. It is not something that somebody is, what do you call that? Stories? No. It is a manual for our life. We can learn a lot of things if we refer to that manual. We can get proper guidance and we can grow ethically. We can achieve higher levels of realization if we refer to source books like the Bhagavad Gita, like the Bhagavatam, like the Bible, like the Quran, like many of these books contain great wisdom. So in our life, it can help us in our personal life also. Not from a fanatic, from a religious approach that we have to learn. We can learn it as a medium of how to make our life better. Thank you very much. Thank you, Sanjeev ji. Thank you to all the senior students for having given me an opportunity to speak to all of you. So, my simple point is that when you have a very absolute principle, then many good things can come out for the welfare of society. Many things. These are offshoots of a particular thinking. So everything comes from there actually. So please take up this, and I know you want to. Thank you very much.